thought it would cost me $15,000. I never thought in my life that Jackie Aina and I would ever have an interaction. Jackie Aina right now has my products sitting on her shelf in her house somewhere. I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, okay guys? I know how hard it is to start a business, so I'm just here to hold your hand and tell you that it's okay, you can literally do it, but no amount of hand holding is going to get you there. You have to pull yourself out of that rut. Hi guys, my name is Fatima and I'm the founder of Care, a fragrance body care brand. So I launched my business September 28th, 2024. I started working on my business in 2023 and I've experienced immense growth that I never thought I would before. So my business sells body oils, scented dry body oils, and concentrated perfume oil. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my business before we got started. So I started my business because I saw an opportunity. So one, of course, I love fragrance. Like that's my perfume shelf over there with loads and loads of perfumes. Not to say you have to have a lot of perfumes to start a fragrance brand, but I'm true to this, you know, like I genuinely love fragrances. So that's one of the reasons. Two, I saw an opportunity. At the time that I started working on my brand, fragrance was really booming online, like on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, everywhere really. And I was like, if I play my cards right, the product is good, the branding is good, the marketing is good, I know I can do great things like with my business. I know I can really grow it. I know I can sell this product that I do not have yet, you know. So like I really thought about it that way. It wasn't just like, oh, I really want to do this. It was more so like, yes, I really want to do this. Two, I know it could work. Like I genuinely knew if I did the work, it would grow and it would sell, and I would be able to achieve this accomplishment of having a great business. And initially I was supposed to do perfume oils and body butters, but y'all, it costs so much money to make body butters, okay? So I ended up doing a scented dry body oil because I could work with the MOQs with that. It just made more sense at the time. If I had to sum it up, is that I love fragrance, and two, I knew, like I said, I would always have a business at some point in my life, but I just wouldn't work on it unless I knew it would work. Three, I saw an opportunity in the market, you know? So that's really why I wanted to start the business. And then I figured out like what products to launch because I was traveling so much at the time. Like in 2023, I went to so many countries. And prior to that year, in 2022, I went to a lot of countries as well. And one thing that was like all over the place in the Middle East were perfume oils. So I was like, I feel like if I play my cards right, I can bring these products over to the US. So I'll talk more about finding the manufacturer and whatnot later on in this video, but I just want to move along. I had to make like notes because I didn't want to get confused. A lot has happened in the past like 7 to 8 months since launching my business. I've received a lot of questions, a lot of comments about how I started my business, what the steps I took, how I did it, how I afforded it, how much it costs to start a business, how much I invested myself in the business, how I found manufacturers, how I found suppliers. And literally, honestly, it's like a lot. So I'm just going to try to fit it in this video the best way I can. And please bear with me. So let's get into it. For as long as I can remember, since I was a kid, I knew I wanted a business. I just had no idea what that would be. I just knew that's something that I really wanted to do. So when the idea came to me, it came to me in the summer of 2023. I immediately started working on it. Like immediately, I was determined to make this thing come to life. So the first thing I did was write a business plan. I feel like the idea of having a business is great, but in order to actualize it and take it seriously, I think the best way to do that is to create some sort of roadmap. And how did I do that? I literally wrote a business plan, and you can use AI, ChatGPT, for example, to assist you with something like that if you're having trouble with finding a template that works for you. So I literally wrote my business plan. I found a template that I wrote out, and then I plugged it into ChatGPT to refine for me, which it did beautifully. So if you're having trouble, that's a great way to go about cleaning up your work if you feel like it could be a little bit better. So this was the first time I think I wrote a business plan. I'd never done it before. So, oh no, I have done it before, but like that was just for a business that I just ended up not doing. A totally different project. It had nothing to do with beauty. But in terms of like a beauty brand product sales type business, I had never done it before. So that's the first thing I did. As soon as I did that, I wrote my brand strategy. So who I was selling to, what I wanted my brand to look like, who my ideal customer was. I already said that, but you get what I'm saying, like creating a story for the business, because I knew my business it's not just a logo. Like I need to define what my mission is, my vision is, my target market, my competitors, what the range I'm selling in. Is it prestige? Is it mass market? Like you need to figure this out because it ties into your branding. I know it might seem like a lot of work, but I'm getting there. The reason why I'm saying this is because I truthfully believe this information is really important, and I'm glad that I did it. In terms of like finding manufacturers, hold on, I actually got a question for this. How did you decide what types of scents you wanted to launch? So the first thing I did, well, the third thing I did after I decided I wanted to start my business was, after like the business plan and the brand strategy that I wrote, I reached out to a fragrance specialist, and her name is Eudora on Instagram. A Dose of E, amazing. She is so good at what she does. I sent her a message because she does consulting, and I hopped on a consulting like call with her, told her what I wanted to do. At the time I didn't have a name for my business, and she was so amazing. She created this document. I told her like who I wanted to sell to because I had my brand strategy, so I knew what I wanted. I just didn't know the notes that would cater to that audience, because my fragrance taste is very like strong. Like I love really woody, oody scents, really strong rosy scents, but I know that's not the case for my target audience. You know, like a small amount of them might like it, but I knew if I launched with a fragrance that smelled like something that I would love, like not saying that I don't love my fragrances now, I do, but if I picked something that only catered to me, I wouldn't be able to, you know, sell that product as much, you know. So I had to make it, I explained to her that I wanted something that was like unique but not too general. So what she did, I told her like what I liked, what I think other people might like, and then she created a document for me with notes to try to use when I'm creating my fragrances, as well as other fragrances that fell into certain fragrance families, so that I could order samples, smell them, and get the right vibe. And it would also help me communicate when I went to meet with fragrance houses or fragrance manufacturers. I could tell them what I wanted, show them the notes, and then give them samples to smell so that they understood the vibe that I was on, you know? That's how I like knew what type of fragrances I would choose. So once I flew to Dubai, and I say this all the time, well, I flew to Abu Dhabi and then I went to Dubai. I went to Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and I met with a few fragrance manufacturers. I'm so happy she did that because she made my job so much easier, and like the process was so swift. I was able to get so many samples. I worked with them and it took some time. It took like 7 days for us to figure it out, but they were able to understand what I was trying to do, and I went home with like 40 plus samples. What I really did was I held like a little contest for the samples amongst my friends and family to just see what they liked, so that I could test it with like a small batch of audiences, and everyone voted for what they liked the most, what they liked the least. I did it too, and that's basically how I ended up selecting 4 fragrances. And initially I was only supposed to release 3, but I ended up releasing 4. Did you work with a fragrance house? If so, which? So this is a question that I get a lot, and unfortunately I won't answer. And I try to be very nice about it, but I don't think it's an appropriate question to ask, especially if you work in beauty. Most people don't even talk about, you know, the countries they source their materials from or whatnot. But I said I went to Abu Dhabi, I said I went to Dubai. You don't have to do that. I did that because I had been there before already, and I was familiar with the area. You can go to, I think it's Grasse, France. I don't know if I'm saying the place right. There's Morocco, there's Egypt. There's so many countries that do fragrance, and you don't have to go to the UAE. Like, you can go to other places. I went to Dubai because it was what was convenient for me at the time. Also, there isn't just one fragrance manufacturer in Dubai. There are so many. There's like hundreds. I'm not even joking. There are so many in Dubai. What I would suggest you do is you reach out to these people. That's what I did. I reached out. I called them. I sent emails. I told them what I wanted to do. I asked about their minimum order quantities. A minimum order quantity is basically the lowest they're willing to sell me in terms of the amount of product. Usually most popular fragrance houses won't go under a certain amount, so it's usually large quantities, like 20,000 bottles or something insane like that, you know. So it's like I was like, okay, per fragrance, $20,000 per fragrance. I'm like, a lot of these places were out of my budget. Like, I just couldn't afford it. I wasn't about to invest that much money in starting the business. It just wouldn't make sense, you know? So that's what I mean when I'm like, you kind of have to think strategically about what you're doing, not just like with your heart. Next question is, I just finished talking about fragrance houses. So I know I'm like rambling a lot. This is a lot to take in. I'll try to edit it down when I'm editing. But so after I wrote my business plan, I did my brand strategy. I started working on my branding. My branding was done. Once my branding was done, my web design got started. I couldn't design my packaging because I didn't have the fragrances yet, so I didn't know what I was doing exactly. So that's when I flew to Abu Dhabi and then went to Dubai and, you know, went to all these fragrance manufacturers, got my samples, came back to the US, decided on what fragrances I wanted to release, started working on my packaging, finding suppliers for my packaging. That was another headache. I worked with packaging suppliers through Alibaba, and you have to be very careful. The one thing I would recommend is only work with verified suppliers, which I do, to only work with suppliers who have a high score on their like store. So nothing, honestly, I would say anything under a 4.7 out of 5 is a no. Just don't even go near it. I know it's like, you might think it's a minimal amount, but it makes a huge difference, okay? So only places with high review scores and suppliers that are verified. That's where I got my packaging from. Everything like shipping boxes, bottles, product packaging, thank you cards, all from Alibaba. All you gotta do is reach out to them, message them, ask for their MOQs. Most suppliers won't go under 1,000. You'll be lucky if you find someone who's willing to sell you product for 500 units. You know, it's usually 1,000, and that's per SKU. So SKU is a stock keeping unit. That's how you organize inventory in business. So per SKU means per product type. So not just like one fragrance, but like the different bottle types. So I had to order like 1,000 body oil bottles for each fragrance. So that's 4,000 body oil bottles, 4,000 30 ml bottles, 4,000 10 ml bottles. And then the boxes are a little, you can kind of like massage that, but you just have to keep in mind that the lower your minimum order quantity is, the higher the cost will be per unit. And the unit amount you see on the listing of their products, that's not what you're gonna pay. It's gonna be way more than that. I'm sorry to break it to you. It's like you'll see like a low amount, like $1 or something. It's usually not that. Shipping, oh my gosh. Shipping costs so much money, and I wish I knew this. I didn't at the time. Like when I was putting my budget together on how much I thought I was gonna spend, I thought it would cost me $15,000. I thought that's how much it would cost me, but that's not how much it costed me. It cost me way more, and I'll get into the cost later. I just want to get to the end to talk about the cost of everything, because it took from like starting the business to launching it to acquire all these costs. So I just don't want to talk about it at the beginning. I want to talk about it at the end. So shipping is something that I didn't account for. Shipping from my suppliers to me in the US, it costs a lot of money. It's going to be probably like 30 to 40% of whatever you're paying for in the product, depending on the type of packaging you have. So for example, my boxes are heavy. Like my boxes that I place the packaging in they have some weight to it. The bottles themselves are glass. They weigh a lot. The heavier something is, the more usually the shipping costs, or the more space it takes, the more the shipping costs. So that's something I didn't account for. So it blew my budget by quite a lot. Once I finished selecting my scents, I knew what the packaging would look like in terms of the colors and whatnot. So I got to work with my packaging designers on that. They designed the bottles. I think they designed the bottles first, and then I just colored them in like Photoshop myself, because I just wanted the packaging design done so that I could figure it out. And it had nothing to do with them. It was just mostly me. I was unsure. Like there's a lot of uncertainty when you're doing this. You just want to make sure you're doing the right thing. And it's hard to know what's the right choice, what's the wrong choice, and the truth is you'll never know unless you choose. So throughout this process, I was recording clips because I knew I would post about it. If nobody knows about your product, you cannot, like, who are you selling to? You're not giving someone the opportunity to purchase your product or to purchase a service from you. Unless they know you exist, they can't buy from you. So marketing was something I knew I had to get right. So how could I do that? Was by telling a story. So before I launched, I think it was like a month and a half to 2 months before I launched, I started posting my behind the scenes content. And literally the first video was, I got so many views on it. It was insane. I couldn't believe it myself. So, you know, people are really interested in seeing you build a brand. It's kind of like hard to digest sometimes, but people like seeing that. They like seeing the work that goes into it. They like seeing the money that goes into it. They like seeing, you know, the accomplishments as well. Because to even get to launching a product is an accomplishment, you know? So that's something I knew, and I made sure I recorded clips throughout the entire process. And then I was just posting before launch. And literally, it's like just kind of like a snowballing effect. The only way, like I said, is to sell a product is by having as many eyes you can on it. So in terms of like TikTok and Instagram and whatnot, people don't like being sold to. So unless it's an advertisement that you're like literally advertising the product, people don't like being sold to. Most of my products are never, guys, I have this iPhone, it's beautiful, buy it because it's amazing. It's never that. It's usually just me talking about my business or me doing random things, random tasks during the day for my business. And people are really intrigued by that. People are curious, they want to know what I'm doing. That's kind of like how it started, is people being just curious about, who is this girl? What is she doing? I want to see what she's building. I want to be a part of this journey, and the way they can be a part of this journey is if they purchase from you. And because I worked really hard on everything in terms of my products to make sure the product itself is really, really good, it really kind of like helped in terms of marketing. So you can't just, yes, you can be great at marketing, but your product also has to be good if you want to bring in more customers, and also if you want to bring in recurring customers. So if you want those customers that purchase from you for the first time to come back. I've had probably customers come back as much as 4 times. That's a lot for a very new business. Your marketing can be amazing, but your product has to be good. The same is vice versa. Your product can be amazing, your marketing can be bad, and if your marketing is bad, that's when you're getting 0 sales. But if your marketing is really good, you'll get sales, but you'll probably get a lot of bad reviews, and you won't get any recurring customers because your products are bad. I hope I'm not like talking in circles. Okay, so I got a question regarding marketing, so I'm just gonna ask that now. How much effort did you put into marketing your brand, or did you let the quality drive sales organically? So I think I kind of just touched up on that a little bit, but I'll just talk about it again. So I put a lot of effort into marketing because, like I said, if nobody knows about your products, if nobody sees your products or has ever heard about your products or your business, you're not giving them the opportunity to purchase from you. So I knew marketing was insanely important. I knew because I was in the beauty space, my packaging of my product was very important. The way it looks visually and aesthetically was really important. So it goes hand in hand, but marketing was so important. Driving sales based on the quality of the product isn't enough. I think you really need to push marketing. That's the only way to, you know, scale the business to a certain degree, or to sell product in general. Like, the product can be amazing, and yes, people can talk about it amongst themselves, just, you know, word of mouth marketing, but truthfully, that would take forever. I honestly don't think that's the way to go about it. I don't think that would work. I think marketing is really just pushing organic content, mostly organic content, some advertising, you know, influencer marketing and all that. That goes, it's like an engine that runs smoothly. When you have all three, it runs like butter, you know. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of like how I would explain it. Marketing is very important, and driving sales based off of quality of the product is not enough. It simply won't get you to the level that you want to get to. Your family and friends might buy, their friends may buy if they encounter it somehow, but honestly, I think marketing is the way to go. Another thing that I would like to say is that I think organic marketing is what's more important than like paid advertising. I do both, but when I started my business, I was only doing organic marketing. I think I only started doing paid marketing like 2 months or 3 months into my business, and I don't rely on paid advertising to sell. So how I do it is kind of like retargeting. I don't handle my ads myself. I work with an agency. I use at paid advertising as a retargeting strategy. So people who love fragrance, who love self-care, who love fashion, who love beauty will likely like fragrance, or they probably come across one or two of my videos, or they've seen someone talking about my products. It's kind of like a reminder to the customer, like, hey, you kind of forgot to purchase from me, you know? So that's kind of like how I do my ads. I don't rely on ads to sell. My ad budget is not a lot of money. I think I spent like $400 on Instagram Meta ads, $400 or $500 on Meta ads, the same amount on TikTok. That's pretty much it. And to people starting, that may sound like a lot of money, but it's really not, depending on like the numbers that you're doing. I don't invest a lot in paid advertising. I just kind of use it as a little support to my organic content, just to remind people to purchase from me. What I'm basically telling you is that don't spend too much money on ads to begin with, at least, and really understand your business, understand what works organically, because usually organic videos that do really well work even better as paid ads. So that's just really all I have to say regarding that. In regards to staying consistent and being accountable, I mean, I feel like I show up enough, but I myself, this is something I really struggle with. I know some people might not believe me because I do post, but I wish I posted more, like on my business pages and whatnot. And the reason why I show up consistently online and push my product and, you know, talk about my product and talk about my business is because I know this is really the only way for me to do it, and the only way for me to grow it at the rate that I want to, and the only way for me to see the results that I want. And something that's really reassuring is because I've been doing it for so long now, I see the results. So I know if I show up, and I show up in a way that aligns with who I'm marketing to, people are going to resonate with my brand, with my products. They're going to follow, like, comment, share, or purchase, or all of those things, you know? So in my head, I'm like, I know if I do these things, the results that I want will come through. So that's kind of like how I go about staying consistent and showing up online. It's really hard. Like, I really don't like showing up on camera, guys. I actually don't like it. I know this might be a shock to a lot of you, but I don't enjoy coming up online and talking. And most of my videos are voiceovers because it makes me uncomfortable to talk to the camera like I am right now, because it's just me in my bedroom talking to a camera. That's kind of like how I stay consistent. It's more like a mental game. It's really easy if you write down the videos you want to record, when you're going to record those videos, when you're going to post those videos. Also setting goals. I think that's just kind of like how I stay consistent. So I have this goal. I want a certain amount of, because I don't really work in terms of followers. I just work based on sales. So let's say you're starting off, you want to make $1,000 a month, you know, like in 1 month. I'm just saying, just starting off that. I'm not saying that's my goal. I don't want to say like a number because I don't know what would be reasonable for someone starting. So I feel like 1,000 is something that's achievable. And in terms of like staying consistent with the business, with marketing and whatnot, I just write down what I want to do, and then I write down how I'm going to achieve that. And I just make sure I show up as consistently enough to achieve whatever that goal is. So whether your goal is $1,000 a month, break it down. If it's $10,000 a month, break it down. $30,000 a month, break it down. $50,000 a month, break it down. So I would do literally $10,000 divided by 30 days in a month. That's $333 a day. How many products do I have to sell in order to make that? So I know what my average order value is because I get that statistic from my Shopify account. So literally it's about $50 to $60. So we just go divide by 50. So you just need about 6 orders a day in order to make that amount, and then you can make $10,000 a month. So that's kind of like how I do the math in my head, how I achieve my goals, really. It becomes easier the more you do it. There's a lot of resistance in the beginning because you're like anxious. Like, I was terrified, guys. I don't think you understand. I was terrified starting my business. I had no idea if it was gonna work. In my head, I knew it was gonna work, but it took forever to go from starting to actually launching the business or even having a physical product. So that period between me working on it and not having a physical product in my hand and seeing like a complete product was total anxiety. I wasn't even sleeping because I had spent so much money, and we're gonna get into that shortly. Another question I got was cost implications, biggest blockers, and how I got past it. So in terms of starting costs, I thought it was gonna cost me $15,000 to start my business. And then I was like, on the high end, I might spend $20,000. So what I did is I went online. There's SBA.gov. It's Small Business Association, basically, in the US. And this is such a great database. You can find so much there. They teach you a lot about business, and basically I went there because I was curious about small business loans. I found this nonprofit lender. I'm happy to share who they are. They're CEDF, but you have to be a Connecticut resident in order to get a small business loan from them. But I found them through SBA.gov. I'll attach the link so that you guys can like figure out where to go in terms of how to search for a lender. It goes based off a state, so you just put in your, I think your state or your zip code or something, and it finds lenders near you. But my lender was a nonprofit lender, and I would highly suggest you go with someone like that because the interest rate on the loans are next to nothing. It's really low. Mine was 6%. That's like insane. That's something that's like near impossible to find. I was able to get a small business loan for $15,000, and I was like, I'll put in the rest, whatever that is. So I knew I was probably going to spend more than 15K because the numbers that I ran was about 15, but I knew I was going to probably have extra costs. I was like, okay, I'll put in, you know, 5,000 or 10,000, or I was willing to put in up to $10,000 or even a little bit more than that myself. So that's basically how I was able to fund my business. It was a small business loan, and then I invested the rest from myself. And the total cost of me starting my business was about $35,000, a little over that, but about $35,000. Guys, as in, I wish you could have seen me in like February or March. I was like, imagine thinking you're only going to spend $20,000 and then you're at $35,000. So I was like, okay, like I was starting to get a little scared then, you know, because I was like, okay, I'm okay. Obviously I invested this money, so I was okay to basically lose it. But if I lost that, if I never made any of that money back, I mean, I would be okay physically, like my life wouldn't change, but obviously that's a lot of money. I would be devastated, you know. That's kind of like when I started getting nervous because I had spent so much money and I had no physical product. And once I had a physical product, once I paid all the invoices and everything was like on its way to the US, that's when I started to sleep peacefully. I was like, okay, this is happening, like it's actually happening. The products are coming. Once they arrived, I was so ecstatic. I couldn't believe it. I genuinely couldn't believe it. So it went from like insane fear to anxiety. Like I was really anxious, and the result of that was because I didn't know if what I was doing was the right choice. And the truth is, you won't know unless you make the decision that you're so afraid to make, you know. I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, okay guys? I know how hard it is to start a business. If you've already started one, I know how anxiety inducing it is. I still feel anxious from time to time. It's just like the normal aspect or the normal part of starting a business or running a business. So I'm just here to hold your hand and tell you that it's okay. You can literally do it, but no amount of hand holding, no amount of reaching out to people is going to get you there. Like that's okay to do. And I'm always happy to talk to people. I'm always happy to like chat with people, to help them and guide them, but no amount of hand holding is going to get you there. You have to pull yourself out of that rut or out of that research phase. Don't get stuck in the research phase. Do the work. Once you have enough information, move on to execution. Like don't get stuck in that phase. I know that's the phase that feels comfortable. You're not scared. You really haven't spent any money. There's no reason to be scared. So don't get stuck there. Like, yes, of course, do your research, do your work, but a lot of people get stuck there, and I think they feel the need to find some sort of outside approval or outside help. And now I feel for you because I understand. I was there. It feels nice when you talk to people, and that's great, but don't let that be all that you do. You'll actually have to stand up and get to work. Stand up, get to work, do the work. It's scary, but get it done. And that's when you'll know whether your choices are right. Like I can't sit here and say that your business is going to be successful or it's going to fail. The actuality is that you won't know unless you do it. And if it succeeds, great. If it fails, what did you do wrong? How can you fix it? If you can, what can you do to make it better? So I saved a lot of money by working with, I'm Nigerian, so a lot of like Nigerian designers, so web designers, product packaging designers, brand designers, photographers, like all those things. I was able to save so much money because in the US everything is like insanely expensive. I think a website can cost you about 10 grand. You know, a custom website can cost you upwards of 10 grand. Branding can cost you about the same, 5 to 10 grand. What else? Packaging design, a couple of thousand, maybe 5 grand, 10 grand. Like if I did everything in the US, I would have spent almost maybe 60, 70, 80, 100,000, depending on how much who I went with in terms of all these things. So in terms of like my branding and my web design, I'm totally fine with sharing who I worked with. I worked with Pull and Go for my branding. So they did my like logos, they did my brand look and feel, my colors and whatnot. For my product packaging, I worked with PMN Studios. I think I'm saying that right. I'm gonna put everything on the video as well as in the description box with their Instagram links and everything. I worked with Tiny Speck for my website. I worked with Eudora for my fragrance consultations. I haven't worked with my product photographer yet, so I don't want to plug him yet until I work with him if I'm comfortable with sharing that, because I don't want to share someone who does poor work, you know. So once I work with them and I like them, or if the work is good, or you know, if they're great, I'll share them for sure, because I don't want to share with my audience like, hey, here's my product photographer. I'm working with them this summer. My website needs new pictures ASAP because I took them and you can tell that I took them. So yeah, I guess that's kind of like really what I have to say. I hope I'm not missing anything because I was just talking so much. Honestly, in terms of like starting the business, the number one tip I have is really work on, of course, your research prior in terms of your branding, your business plan, who you're selling to, your look and feel, your story. All that is really important to how your brand is going to be positioned by you as well as by your customers. To invest in really great products, of course. Like if your packaging and everything is amazing, okay, fine, great. But if your product sucks, then you're killing your business. Don't go big or go home. If that's one thing that I wish I could have told myself, is I wish I started smaller in terms of my SKUs. It's not that I have a lot of products. I have 4 fragrances, that's fine, but I have 4 body oils, 4 10 ml bottles, 4 30 ml bottles, and then I have a discovery set. So it's like, it adds up, okay? That's like 13 products in total, you know, it adds up. And I wish I could have downsized to just the body oils, the 30 mls, and the discovery set. The 10 mls are great for like travel size. People do buy them, so I wouldn't like get rid of them now. Like they're never going away. It's just more so starting. I could have saved a little bit more money, but that's what I would say is like start small so that you're not risking as much, you know? So initially when I started, I reached out to my brother and I was like, so should I go big? Like, should I get like a $50,000 loan and go massive, or should I just start really small and then work my way up from there? And he was like, no, girl, don't do that. Start small, see what works, see what doesn't work. Like right now, I feel like my business is in the test phase and it's just me testing and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. Just push through that fear. I know it's really hard. I know it's difficult, but once you get to the other side, it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding. It's so rewarding to launch a business and see that first sale come in. Like I will never forget that first order coming in, ever. First order. Who was that? It's like totally embedded in my brain. It's not going anywhere. I get so many messages about people being so proud of me and following my journey from the beginning and all that stuff. And I just want to say thank you. Like genuinely, I really appreciate it for everything, for your views, for your likes, for your comments, your shares, your purchases. I see everything, so thank you really so much. It means the world to me. I did put in a lot mentally and physically, and this is like only the beginning. My business is really new. I launched my business September of last year, and it's been post your content, show up online, people will see you. The people that you look up to, that you've been looking up to, will see your content. I never thought in my life that Jackie Aina and I would ever have an interaction. Jackie Aina right now has my products sitting on her shelf in her house somewhere. In her home, Care is somewhere sitting up on her shelf. That's still so surreal for me. So I'm saying this because I was once in your position, just trying to figure out if what I was doing was going to work. And just show up, do the work, push through the fear, push through the anxiety, post your content. People are watching you. Like the people who I never thought I would interact with, I've interacted with through email, through video calls. You know, it's just insane. So just post your content and someone who resonates with you will want to follow or support you in some way. I think I'm just gonna end on that note. Thank you so much, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them down below. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting. And as always, I'll see you in my next video.